You've likely seen the astonishing images in the news, a line of people on Hillary Step, a nearly vertical rock face on Mount Everest. And with 11 hikers reported to have died last month, some say the crowded conditions are making an already dangerous feat even more so. Longmeadow resident Mike Maddie topped Everest in 2011. I asked him what Hillary Step looked like then. And full disclosure, Mr. Maddie is president of St. Germain Investments, which is a supporter of WGBY.
So in 2011, I encountered nobody literally on that portion. I got to the summit of Everest myself with myself and the Sherpa, and that was it. And we stayed for about 45 minutes, which is a very long time to be sitting there. They eventually had to radio us and say, okay, enough time, come on down. But my problem was when I first got there, my camera wasn't working, and I was determined that I was going to stay there until either my camera started to work, because in that cold conditions, oftentimes the batteries don't work, or until somebody else showed up with a camera. And we did eventually get
the hard trek. Yeah. You wanted the Instagram.
I wanted a photo. Well, that's part of the problem is today everybody's all about the social media. I know folks that were there this past year, prior year, et cetera, and they said everybody's just doing the selfies the whole time, and there's now Wi-Fi access at base camp, and they're making media posts the entire time, and it's all about getting the picture out there.
Instead of maybe focusing on safety and things that you should be focusing on when you're on such a treacherous stretch of the world.
Yeah, you should be spending your time at Everest Base Camp really taking care of a lot of details, really dialing in your gear, spending a lot of time trying to, recuperate, rest up, figure out, how you're best going to walk across the ladders in the Khumbu Icefall, and so on and so on. And now you hear these stories about people showing up who barely know how to put a pair of crampons, the spiky things that go on your shoes, on their boots.
And so you, as we've said, summited in 2011. You had a team with you, your Sherpa, and some other folks. One of the people in your team actually did pass away. He had a heart attack, right?
Yep.
And as you're hearing about these deaths that have happened in the past month, 11 total in just the past month, you ever think, God, that could have been me?
Yeah, when you're there, you definitely, that's part of your thought process. You're walking by memorials to climbers who've passed away. You're, in some cases, I know this year, for example, there was that famous shot up near the Hillary Step where there was the body hanging on the rope. We actually had, at a slightly lower spot in the mountain, there was a body hanging off the rope, and there are people who've passed away at some of the spots we're taking breaks at, and so on. So you see it, and you realize, these are people who came just trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, and yet there they are. But I think the big advantage we had then versus now is the lack of the crowds. It's when you're going up the Hillary Step, the very last portion of Everest before you get to the top, there's a single rope, and there's 3,000 foot down into Tibet and 5,000 foot down into Nepal. And the issue is, with one rope, you're all stuck going up and down the same thing. And I always liken it to, let's make it a highway that's literally, one lane. Cars have to adjust and pass, plus the guy behind you can't get any farther than you. So now you've got an inexperienced climber who's sitting there, somebody who's having a hard time struggling, whether it's lack of preparation, health issues, whatever it happens to be. And they're stuck, the people who are behind them, even though they were ready and they did the prep time and they were actually ready to go do this.
So based on what you've been reading and hearing, what do you think is driving this trend of so many people dying?
Well, this year I think it was a combination of factors. I mean, in part it's weather. There was a number of days when the conditions just were not conducive towards going to the top. So after you've been there and you're prepped up and you're ready and you're resting at base camp and you're waiting for a break in the weather and good weather to roll along, meaning the winds have died down at the top. Instead of being minus 40 with a 75-mile-an-hour wind, it's now minus 40 with hopefully very little wind. Everybody heads out at the same time to go to the top. So you've got that traffic jam issue, and there's nobody there who manages that. It's everybody does what they want. So oftentimes you have a lot of teams heading out at the same time because they're all looking at the same weather forecast. But I think beyond that, what's happened is if you go back 10 years or so ago, most of the guiding companies there were a Western-based guiding company. Today, most of them are Nepali-based guiding companies. And again, they're great capitalists, but a lot of it is really about the money. So the Western companies tend to be much better at vetting you for, have you climbed Denali with us, et cetera, et cetera.
Are you physically ready to do this?
The Nepali companies, I mean, the most infamous one out there right now, which was responsible for about half of the deaths on Everest this year, is a company who does their VVIP experience. So
This
if
is
you-
the $130,000. They helicopter you on and off.
Yeah.
You are hiking, but you're not doing what you did, which is staying that entire time and acclimating.
Yeah, and literally they're marketing it to people who are not necessarily ready. So it's almost self-admitted. This is about the money. So it literally says right on their webpage, if you have a strong economic background to compensate for your old age, weak physical skills, or fear of risk, this is the trip for you. To me is really and truly should be kind of a keyword where somebody's going, wait a second. So these guys are just looking for people who are, saying I'm not ready, but we'll take them anyway if they can come up with the money.
So do you
And they
think
are.
it's, the Nepalese government has looked at it and said we might make some changes here. Do you think it's time to change the permitting or who's allowed to summit?
I don't think Nepalese government's going to change a thing. I think they've given a little bit of lip service to it while it was a front page media thing. Again, it's a much more, corrupt government in a lot of ways, number one. Number two, this is a huge revenue generator for them. And unfortunately for the Nepali economy, if you happen to be out there and spending $130,000 on a trip that you're not ready for, you're probably also trekking now through Kathmandu and Namche, et cetera, and spending a lot of money while you're there. Gee, we've now got helicopter pilots involved in flights coming back and forth for this. These are the people that are really spending a ton of money. We want more of them, is sort of their take on it. Come on over. So, like I say, it's just a huge money generator for them, and the more high-end people they have, the better.
Tips that you would give somebody if they're thinking, I should add Everest to my bucket list?
I think real hard about going with a company that is, again, got a lot of experience on Everest, vetting their climbers very, very well, and trying to make sure that you're with a group that's, again, been there before, making sure all their climbers are ready to go, and not so concerned about whether or not you've got all the luxuries in the world at base camp. Focus more on actual logistics and things that are going to get you up the mountain safely.